What's up everyone, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we'll be talking about news for months in SaGa Universe. We just saw the announcement of 3 different things. First one, a new banner called SaGa Soul Kylin that also brings Shelmer and Soji. SaGa Soul banner this time has characters that don't have any other future style. We'll be talking about them because we already have the information about the changes in global. Well, we also have the announcement of 2 events. The first one, SaGa Soul Appreciation Box. The second one, SaGa Soul Appreciation Battle. They are related and we will also be able to farm a new weapon, a martial arts weapon that can increase intelligence. So this is made for Kylin and can also be used by deities like Creator or Goddess. Well, this event here, it says that also skills and spells will be easier to rank up. This is nice. Strange that we're getting this exactly when we saw Seeker's Path rerun. So maybe this will help you, well, change plans and focus on this because this one is better for the status. Okay, so the Appreciation Box event is just the treasure chest where you have an RNG to get good stuff, and here you will be able to choose what exactly you want, just like the past event. There will be some welfares dropping, and there is a future version of the entire. Maybe this is a sign that it's coming up. There's other welfares that don't matter much here as well. Now let's talk about the banner. Well, here on the top we have Kylin, Soji, and Shelmer. Let's talk about them going to Reddit. So here we are on a Hands483 post on Reddit. Thank you so much for always doing this amazing job. There's a link here to the video by the Taiwanese community, and we can compare the GDP and global to see what changed. The first character is Kylin. He's a martial artist that uses spells and equips martial arts weapon. That's why we have one that increases intelligence. Has a focus on 3 status, agility, intelligence, and will, and was buffed in global to get even higher will. This is important because of what changed. Now the first passive is stacked. There's plenty of effects. He recovers HP by around 150, gets 1 BP, but also cleanses all ailments and status debuffs. This is interesting. Some characters only have 2 of these effects, he has 4. The second passive, he has a 25% chance to buff intelligence and will for all surviving allies by 20%. So it happens once every 4 turns on average, and when it triggers it's pretty nice, especially the will part. Although if you just want will, you can just use the second version of Snowy that gives better effect and it's more important in the long run. But there's more into this character. The third passive is R1 Defense 6, so decreases damage by 40% to survive very well, especially against magical attacks. Then the skill number 1, we have a 4 BP AoE attack that can debuff agility. Depends on intelligence. Intelligence is pretty good. It will debuff most of the time, unless it's a very tough boss. But it's just blunt damage. Plain blunt damage. Then skill number 3, it's an opener, so 10 BP, and it has 8 power, also blunt. And now has a medium chance to stun, and debuffs agility by 20%. When you look on this, it's pretty similar to Robin Liz. Robin Liz can do the same type of cycle, but her opener is a little weaker, but she also debuffs agility all the time. So, well, if you just got Robin Liz, nothing changes much here, well, with the difference between the damage type. This one is blunt. But the important thing is this second skill. This one, it's 7 BP, so that means that you can actually use once every 2 turns. Remember, he gets 1 BP on the end of a turn. And then, it's a single target attack with blunt and pierce. Nice, it's double element. And critical to flowing enemies. Will also buff all surviving allies' intelligence and will by 25%. Well, every 2 turns, right? That means that it can replace, kinda, Halloween Princess White Rose in some fights, because it's active instead of passively, and has a chance to buff again with passive number 2, and because it's can even be used 2 times on the start of a fight where you really need more will, it actually works. Because it's intelligence and will, it means that you will be using him in mage setups against bosses that are also mages. We do have some options and this can be interesting indeed. It can stack with your Matriarch Piano of Peace as well, but we have to remember that Piano of Peace does not buff intelligence, so depending, it may be used better with iToken if you want to get intelligence, and just this will buff will be enough. Will depend on the situation, if you want more offense or defense. I believe that Kylin will work better for people that miss out at least in one key character used in hard challenges like Halloween Princess White Rose, the newest Sarah, the Snowy I mentioned it, a token, or the third version of Matriarch. If you miss it on at least one of them, he can serve you better than veterans that have them all. New accounts can also benefit because it's very hard to wait for buffers, they don't appear much of them. But with that said, this character barely does any damage, it's just about the support than the damage itself. Even though you see S power here, unless you get many intelligence buffs, the damage won't matter too much. Then the next character is Shelmer, and they buffed his status for sustain, so more endurance, more will. He's another character that acts like a mage even though he equips martial arts weapons. It's not that high as it could have been, but intelligence is good enough. Well, the first passive, he has a 25% chance to heal and get 3 BP. It's just a way to stack 2 effects, but with a very bad RNG. And passive number 2, he gets a 50% chance to buff all surviving allies' intelligence by 20%. Well, you can think about this similar to, well, the last version of Snowy. But this is offensive, buffing intelligence instead of buffing will. Of course, buffing will is much more important because it's a status that will protect us in fights, and it's a status that works for 2 different things. Well, like decreasing damage and also avoiding getting liquid status augments. While intelligence will just help you maybe inflicting status augments, debuffing and increasing damage. It's not as important as will. For example, then a passive number 3, we have High Protect Tension, increasing damage by 20 and decreasing damage that he received by 30. So it's the only damage passive as well. That means that he, just like Kylin, is focused on support and can survive a little as well. For skill number 1, we have a single target attack with C power that deals blunt and stun damage, so dual element, and buff his own intelligence. So if you keep using it, the damage just scales off, and it's good. Skill number 2 is a 6 BP AoE support skill that can debuff intelligence by up to 20% on max level, but you do need to raise this manually. And it's useful when you're fighting a boss with very high agility or will, or even both, because you don't need to hit the enemy, it will always debuff, and will break through the will of the enemy as well, just like Halloween Cat did with Feline Dance. But this one is AoE instead of just single target. Will work for very hard challenges just here and there. Then skill number 3, 8 BP attack with double S power, blunt and stun again, and also buffs intelligence, but this time for all surviving allies by 25%. So you can cycle between skill 3 and normal attack if you want to buff the squad, or he can just open buffing everyone and then just stick to buffing himself and doing, well, C power and then scaling his intelligence for more damage. But still, I don't know if his passive 1 will help too much in boss fights, but when it triggers, you can just buff everyone again. And there is this chance to buff all surviving allies' intelligence as well, but because this one is a 50% chance, and the value is only 20, you only get an average of 10% per turn. I don't know if that is good enough, but the character has a very simple design, doing damage and buffing intelligence of himself and sometimes the intelligence of the squad. Then we have Soji, and boy, they wanted to make this guy stronger, but he is just a farmer. 116% STR makes him very strong on damage, and 104% agility makes him attack first most of the time. Dexterity is not exactly a problem, but could have been higher. Nothing else matters in this character. Well, he also starts with only 1 LP, so if he dies, he cannot be revived. This belongs to the lore of Romancing Saga 2, where he also suffers the same fate. And for passive, they really buff on this guy. He gets a 50% increase for 2 turns with his morale up, and also attack enhancement that increases it again by 30%. Those 2 things stacks, of course. And now he gets a 1 BP on the start of a round. That means that he will be able to do some stuff that he can't on JP. So 80% increase in damage for 2 turns and 1 BP on the start of a round. Yeah, A very strong farmer. Then a passive number 2 gives him 10% increase in damage, already 90 now, and 2 BP on the beginning of a battle, starting with 12. And then we have fired up 6, giving it 30%, so 80, 90, 120% on total increase in damage. Yeah, so this guy will make some weak skills look powerful just because of so many damage passives and that increase in STR. They changed his first attack that was just be power single target, but it was pretty cheap, for a full AoE attack that's even not the best one. It's just plain slash damage with 4 BP, but again, so many damage passives will make this look strong. Then the second one, it's now only 6, and it's S power, single target slash that can instant kill. It relies on intelligence, his one is not that high, it should not be taken too much into consideration. And then the skill number 3 is an AoE power attack with 12 BP coast, then use slash in cold. So he can do full cycles of just slash if you think about the skill number 1, but at least he opens with a very strong cold attack. Another thing is that he can use also Swallow Reversal, that attack that comes from a platinum version of Katarina that she can use with her welfare. Twice, that one is triple S power and gives guard down. That means that everyone that follows will do better damage. And triple S attack on turn 1 and then again on turn 2 will make him a very good farmer for single target scenarios as well. And he can also in the future amplify a skill that will be Slash and Lightning with triple S power too. So yeah, there are plenty of utility for this character, but as a farmer, remember he has only 1 LP and he does not self-buff. He's not exactly the best thing to use in boss fights. And another thing that he can do is Waterfall Blade Plus by amplifying. With that, he gets 3 column attacks with both Slash and Cold that will rival the recent Gustav that only does Slash, and Gustav can only use it twice. This guy can use it 3 times because Waterfall Blade Plus is only 6 BP. So the strongest Waterfall Blade attacker is strongest column attacker with slash and cold damage. The thing is that he still offers overvalue for veterans because there are plenty of Waterfall Blade users, and we just got Gustav and Dark by covering also different things. Gustav is also very strong for Remembrance, for example. So even though he's pretty strong, you can also decide to skip him. Well, SaGa Soul Banners are pretty rare. They got a rerun on JP in the same veins as UDX Bottomlands, but it takes time to see this type of reruns. And we have to think about them as current usage. Kylin, for example, is easy to replace because what he does, although a little different, can be replaced and fine in other units. The same can be said for Climber. And Soji is the most unique by having so much damage, but even then, nothing here screams must pull. None of these characters are a must pull. You can just find alternatives going on, and you will not feel guilty by skipping them. And that's why I say that this banner won't offer much value to many accounts, and we receive only a bronze award when I do the review. That will happen by tomorrow. So stay tuned on the channel, and I will compare them to other units to try to offer you some ideas if these characters are worth for you or not. With that said, that is my opinion. What is yours? Please say here in the comments. Are you thinking about summoning? I wanna know. I hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye.